Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto entered the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX world? Naruto becomes the Elemental King. The Ultimate Power Awakens, Part 1. YouTube size image now. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Game on. Hello everyone, and welcome to the first chapter of my first Yu-Gi-Oh! GX FIC. In this story Jaden will not be as immature as he was in canon because of one face which will be revealed in chapter. Although I am able to excuse Jaden for his stupidity, immaturity because of what was revealed in Season 3. With Yubel he kept putting kids into comas, which stunted his emotional growth. Then Yubel, who was seen as his best friend because of his stunted emotional growth, was sent into space by his parents which would have further damaged his psyche because of the betrayal, in his eyes, of his parents. Then there was the pain-filled nightmares Yubel sent him to try and get his help, and, finally, there was all the treatments to get him to forget Yubel and the nightmares, which is probably why he is so single-minded because that is the mentality needed for most of those kind of treatments. Since in this story Jaden's parents died shortly after Yubel was sent to space, he didn't lose contact with Yubel and eventually got back into proper contact with her. Yes, I believe that Yubel is female, although this is a very controversial point, and learned of his past as the Supreme King and has learned to, at least partly, use his powers. This Jaden will also be able to see all of his dual spirits. I never understood why he only ever saw Winged Karibo, the Neo-Spacians, Neos and Yubel. It would have been especially good if he could have seen all of his spirits, or at least most of them, and they each had unique personalities for interaction with Jaden. Jaden will also have a deck with different heroes than in the show. Oh, he will have them, but he will also have the other heroes like Elemental Hero Heat and Elemental Hero Terra Firma to name two. And I love Winged Karibo like everyone else, but Jaden will not gain the Little Fuzzy this turn, he will get a different card instead. There will also be Crowler bashing, Chaz bashing and Obelisk bashing, besides Alexis, Jasmine, Mindy and Zane. I personally don't like these two. This story is inspired by these three stories. Darkness is my alley, Awakening and Transformers GXL, of which are by Yu-Gi-Oh! Freak 54 feet, read his stories, they are brilliant. This FIC is also kinda a present from my friend Rebuke X7 for his birthday. Check out his stories, they are masterpieces. The pairing in this story will be unique, myself only seeing one story with this kind of pairing, which is Evil King Jaden, by Chooch 77 feet. It'll be a Jaden X Dual Spirit Girls X Human Girl Harem. Sweet, huh? The harem will consist of Alexis, E-Hero Burstinatrix, E-Hero Lady Heat, E-Hero Poison Rose, Yubel, and OC Monster, and there are a few girls I'm considering adding who are Blair, Jasmine and Mindy. I think I'll add them, but if enough people say against this decision then I won't. I am also controversial on whether I should add Camula to the harem or not. So, please, leave reviews about your opinions on these ideas. Thank you. And I am sorry for wasting so much of your time with this ridiculously long author's notes, so let's get on with it. Start the story. Disclaimer. I do not own Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Key. Talking. Thinking. Dual Spirits Talking. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Elemental King Jaden Yuki. Chapter 1. Game on. A lone boy slept on a matted bed, his hair dark brown with a large tuft of more orange-brown hair at the top of his head. This was Jaden Yuki. He was sleeping alone on his bed until, suddenly, a woman walked through the door and lay down on the bed next to him. The woman had long gray hair with snow-white tips, a red leather latex full-body costume that had cuts around her shoulders, a slight gap at the base of her neck, and the costume stopped a few inches after her shoulder. She had long red-heeled boots made of the same material that reached halfway between her hip and her knee. On her arms wear red fingerless gloves that were also made of the same material that stopped just after her elbows, ending with a spike. On top of her head was a golden helmet with a small green gem. Her skin was ash white. Her eyes were not hidden by the mask costume and were revealed to be a bright, vibrant green. Her lower face was also uncovered, revealing more of her ash-like skin and her ruby red lips. However, the woman also seemed to be see-through. Jaden, she whispered, poking him. Said boy just groaned and rolled onto his side. Jaden. The woman said with a slightly annoyed tone as she poked him again. Go away. Jaden mumbled back to her, pulling the covers closer to him and trying desperately to try and stay in the realm of dreams. Jaden. The ash-skinned woman screamed in annoyance, causing said boy to jump out of bed with a scream before he fell onto the floor with a loud BAMG. OWWWWWWW. Jaden groaned. Bertsinatrix, what was that for? You need to get up. The exam's today and if you don't leave soon you're going to be late. The dual spirit, now revealed to be named Bertsinatrix, replied with a roll of her eyes. Crap. The exam. Jaden suddenly yelled, his golden eyes widening in shock and fear as he ran to his closet and pulled out his usual cloths. Thanks, babe. Jaden had quickly changed into a plain red shirt with a black leather jacket and a pair of black jeans with some tears near the knees. He then ran to the woman and lightly kissed her on the lips before he ran out of the room. The new room he ran into was a living room, full of different dual spirits. Papa, one of the spirits called cheerfully as it ran to Jaden at full speed and jumped into his arms. This monster looked like a living plant. It was a light green rosebud, the top of its head having a light yellow tint to the green plant's skin, with more rosebuds as hands, what looked like a cape made out of 2 leaves and a silver necklace with a pink gem. The monster had wide blue eyes and a permanent bright pink blush on its face. Hey princess, Jaden said with a smile before he passed the little monster to another one. This was a woman with purple skin, red eyes and long, petal-like white hair. This monster was also wearing a crown on her head with a green gem. Her legs were covered by dark pink stockings, her waist circled by a skirt made out of leaves which was held up by a golden belt with a light blue gem. Her feet were covered by leaf-made shoes and her upper body had a black, dark green corset with a leaf-like jacket covering her arms, back and shoulders. On each hand she had several golden rings. Here you go, sweetie. Jaden smiled before he kissed the purple-skinned woman on the cheek. He then turned to the dual spirits and smiled, here you go, Rose. Thanks, sweetie. The spirit smiled as she softly pecked his lips with her own pale purple ones. Jaden was in a relationship that most people would frown upon. First off, there's the fact he's in a relationship with a dual spirit, and then there's the fact he was in a relationship with 3 dual spirits. His girlfriends were the elemental hero Berstinatrix, the woman in front of him called elemental hero Poison Rose, and the last member of the harem is the other fire female known as elemental hero Lady Heat. Jaden smiled before he called to all the spirits in his small home, come on guys, we're gonna be late. The group quickly returned to their cards as Jaden grabbed his deck as well as his special Battle City Duel disc. It looked just like the normal Battle City Duel disc except the red was black. Jaden then ran out of the house to try and get to the exam on time. As he ran, Jaden's mind couldn't help but think back on his life. His parents had never liked his love for the game Duel Monsters, especially since whenever he played and lost, which was a lot of the time when he was younger, the other kids would fall into comas. Because of this, his best friend was the dual spirit of his favorite card, was why, when Jaden won a contest to create real cards for the game to be sent into space, his parents got the people in charge of the launch to send Yubel into space as well. The next day his parents went out partying in celebration, thinking their son would give up the stupid game, as they called it, and become a lair like they wanted. Unfortunately they died in a drink-driving accident, not that Jaden cared too much. Jaden is then taken in by an orphanage, only to be kicked out because he refused to give his family's money to the bastard in charge since his parents' wealth of nearly 100 million went to him. Ever since then Jaden had entered tournaments to make money in order to help survive, wanting to save the money and only use it for emergency. Over the years Yubel had also told him of his past, powers and who he truly was. Jaden accepted he was the reincarnation of a dark king from long ago, but he also wanted to be his own person in this new life he was in. And so, he became the Elemental King in tournaments using the incredibly hard to master Elemental Hero archetype of dual monster cards. He was considered to be the master of the archetype by some higher ups, and has been trying to master his powers through the years, which had changed his once soft brown eyes into orbs of soft honey gold which seemed to hold eternal caring. Jaden was so busy thinking about the past that he didn't watch where he was going. He bumped into another male with tri-spiky hair of red, black and 3 hairs pure blonde. Jaden got his wits back about him and looked at the stranger. His jaw dropped when he recognized the male but gained a large grin. Yug, been a while hasn't it? Jaden asked with his grin still present. The male chuckled lightly at seeing the young man. He met him once during one of the many tournaments that Jaden had taken part in, and the two had gotten along greatly, especially since Yugi saw some of himself in the younger male. Jaden has more or less become like an unethical apprentice. Fine, it seems like today's the day, right? Sure is. Jaden replied with a smile. Today was the day that Jaden would be applying for the Great Duel Academy, a school created by Yugi's rival, Seto Kiba. The school was split into 3 dorms. Slifer Red, a low-level dorm to show that Kaiba still let their infamous rivalry exist out of the duel arena despite Yugi attempting to leave it alone. Any student that did poorly on their written and then their practical exams end up in this dorm and were nicknamed the Slifer dropouts due to many just dropping out of the school due to the harsh competition. Raw Yellow, a mid-level dorm. Ra, while depicted as the mightiest of the 3, was a lukewarm monster to Kaiba. The god of the sun was owned by Merrick Ishtar, who wasn't much of a threat, according to Kaiba's own arrogance. The duelists that did exceedingly well on both their written and practical exams, and by exceedingly well, I mean really high marks, 80, 90 to 95% well. Obelisk Blue, the top of Kaiba's school due to him holding the Obelisk the Tormentor card in the Battle City tournament. The dorm was meant for the best overall duelists, ones who performed well in exams and duels. But the dorm had been corrupted to be the home of the richest snobs who expected everything, rare cards, respect, even victories, to be handed to them on a silver platter. Although Jaden and Yugi didn't think that Kiba knew of the corruption with the dorming system, because from what Yugi had told Jaden of the Blue Eyes user, he wouldn't stand for that kind of cheating. Well, lucky I found you because some new cards from Pegasus just arrived today. Here, Yugi reached into his deck case and pulled out a total of 6 cards, 1 effect monster, 4 fusion monsters and a spell card. Wow, these are for me? Jaden asked in amazement. Sure they are, Jaden, you deserve them. Yugi smiled. Thanks, Yugi. Jaden beamed back, looking at the cards. Hello guys, and welcome to the family. The only reply he got was a giggle from the effect monster. Well, see you Yugi, I gotta get going. Jaden then took off like the hounds of hell were on his feet as he speed through the roads. Good luck, Elemental King, Yugi whispered with a fond smile. Wait, Jaden yelled as he ran towards the entrance of the Kiba Dome, where the entrance exams for Duel Academy were taking place. Greetings, young man. How may I help you? The man in charge asked. I'm here to apply for Duel Academy. The boy answered. Name, Jaden Yuki. The man took a clipboard from his desk and looked at the list carefully. A few seconds later, here you are. Jaden Yuki. The man nodded. Just head inside and when they call you, head to the arena. Thank you, sir. Jaden bowed respectfully and went to proceed inside the building. He passed the written exam, just barely scrapping past a 78%, and heading towards the stadium. He noticed a duel taking place in one of the fields, the person being tested by a boy that had black hair with a gray streak in it who had 4,000 life points and a Vorse Raider, while his opponent had 1,903 monsters each with variable attack and defense points. Okay, freshman, pop quiz time. You have 3 monsters staring you down and 2 face downs. Which of the following do you do? Do you do A, throw in the towel? B, attack hoping that I don't activate my face downs? Or C, run home to mama? The tester asked within a snide tone. I chose D, none of the above. The boy shouted. Go face down trap. Ring of destruction. As the ring appeared, it wrapped itself around the Vorse Raider and blew up. The tester brought his arm up to shield from the debris as his life points plummeted to 0. The black-haired boy smiled as his disc deactivated. Congratulations, you have been accepted into Duel Academy. The tester said. Thank you. Black hair said. That guy is pretty good, huh, Chaz? A boy with wavy blue hair and glasses asked. He's a punk. The person in the middle called Chaz scoffed. We went to dual prep school for the past 3 years. We're ready for the academy. These kids don't know what they're getting into. But they'll learn, the hard way, the Chaz Princeton way. Chaz Princeton, huh, with an attitude like that, I might have to change your tune when we duel. Jaden thought with a glare. That's Chaz, someone who went through dueling prep school. He's really good. Possibly the best in the school. A small boy with blue hair, who could easily be mistaken as a child, said when he saw who Jaden was talking about. He's not so tough, he's just using his money to get what he wants. That doesn't help in dueling. Jaden said with a shake of his head. Jaden Yuki. Cyrus Truesdale. The brunette replied with a nervous bow. Right below them, in the VIP seats for Academy faculty members, looks like we've got a pretty good crop this year. One of them said. Yes, indeed. Another teacher agreed. Also right next to them, another teacher sat there silent, not paying attention to the other teacher's talk. He's male, but could easily be mistaken as a woman if you didn't know who he was. He wore a blue blazer similar to Chaz but had some gold shoulder plates and trimmings along with a ruffled pink collar. He also had his blonde hair in a ponytail and wore makeup. This was Dr. Velian Crowler, headmaster of the Obelisk Blue Boys dorm. Another rookie for the academy. He thought dismissively. I'm just glad that this was the last duel, otherwise there could be more slackers coming in, too. He was about to get up and leave when. I'm sorry to interrupt. A man in a black, business suit appeared, stopping Crowler from leaving. But one last applicant has arrived to take his exam, Mr. Crowler. Excuse me, did you just call me, Mr. Crowler scowled. I'm sorry. I'm new here, miss. I have a PhD in dueling to earn the title. Doctor, thank you. Crowler snapped a bit. He then looked away. Now tell the truant that he'll have to come back next year. The other teachers looked at him like he lost his mind. Come on, Dr. Crowler, we have time for one more. Yes, let's give this duelist his shot. He was just a bit late, that's all. Late is rude. Crowler finally snapped. He slammed his hands down, freaking out the other people around him. I have no time for slackers. Just then his cell phone rang. He pulled it out of his pocket and answered it. What? It's Shepard. Oh, Chancellor Shepard, how nice of you to call. Crowler said, suddenly changing his angry tone to a pleasant one. Just calling to make sure everything is running smoothly. Chancellor Shepard said, we wouldn't want a repeat of what happened last year. That made Crowler bug out a bit. When you cut a third of our student applicants because someone called you, Mr. or Mrs. Never mind, just make sure everyone gets a fair shot. Yes, oh, of course, sir. Crowler said as he hung up scowling. Furry-chinned windbag, doesn't he realize that there are enough talentless flunkies at this academy? But he's the boss, and if he wants to give this scrim shaker a duel, fine. He then got up from his seat. Pardon me, gentlemen, I'll be right back. He said, then starting walking away. But sir, who will be the boys' dueling proctor? And which exam deck should we use? Crowler just huffed and walked away. Leave that to me. He pulled out a deck from inside his blazer, grinning evilly. Back with Jaden and Cyrus, where the black-haired boy from earlier walked towards them. Hey there, you did great in your duel. You might even be the second best in the whole school. Jaden called, praising the boy. Thank you. I am Bastian Misawa. The black-haired boy nodded. Cyrus Truesdale. And I'm Jaden Yuki. Please report to dueling field number 4. The PA announced again. Jaden Yuki, to dueling field number 4. That's me. Looks like it's go time. Jaden said as he got ready to go. Wish me luck, guys. Wait, before you go, what did you mean by me being the second best duelist at the school? Who's the first? Bastian asked. Jaden pointed his thumb to himself. Why, yours truly. He grinned. It's what I'm best at. He then continued his stride down to the exam floor. He seems interesting. Bastian nodded as the brown-haired boy ran to the field. On the field, Dr. Crowler was being prepped and ready to duel. The dual disc he was equipped with looked as though it was crafted into his blazer. The part that held his graveyard and deck slots was strapped to his chest, while the dual tray looked as though it was being held up like a guitar. In fact, the dual tray itself looked almost like a rock guitar itself. Jaden rose up from a platform and was on the duel field. The young king was shocked at what he saw, not sure if it was a man or a woman. All right, test time. Crowler snapped as it looking at Jaden. So, son, your name? Jaden's eyes narrowed at the tone before he replied, my name's Jaden, Jaden Yuki. Well, Jaden Yuki, I'm Dr. Velian Crowler, department chair, head of the Obelisk Blue Male Dorm and Techniques professor here at Duel Academy. Wow, Jaden said, rubbing the back of his neck with a hearty laugh. A department chair? I had no idea. From the way you were dressed I thought you were some kind of academy mascot. An aura of fire seemed to surround Crowler at that comment. Now that he mentions it. The boy wearing glasses next to Chaz said. This guy's got some lip, huh Chaz? The other said. Chaz just looked on as he didn't like what Jaden was saying to Dr. Crowler. Dual vest on. Crowler snapped, activating it, and drew his 5 cards. Jaden was just amazed by the machinery. Hey, that's some sweet gear, teach. How do I get one of those? Jaden asked. Oh, a lot of hard work, high marks and dedication. Crowler answered. Of course, you have to be accepted first. Which I will make sure you don't. Well, I'm ready. Jaden said, activating his dual disc. Let's duel. The he-she thing yelled. Game on. Jaden proclaimed in confidence. Jaden. 4,000. Crowler. 4,000. High up in the stadium were 2 obelisk blues, 1 male and 1 female. The male was in the white variant of the male uniform while the girl was in the normal female uniform, a white and blue blazer, blue mini skirt and blue high heels. She was also wearing light blue dueling gloves. The guy had dark blue hair and gray eyes while the girl had long blonde hair and blue eyes. Man, this kid must be really good or done something to really piss off Crowler for him to duel him, huh Zane? The girl asked. Maybe Alexis. I'm just hoping that the kid might be able to keep up and possibly be a worthy opponent. The dark blue-haired man replied with his neutral face. I'll start, Jaden said as he drew his 6th card. Okay, this'll be simple. I play 5 cards face down and summon the elemental hero Nospe in attack mode. 5 cards appeared on his field in the spell trap zone before the small plant creature from this morning appeared in the monster zone. E-Hero Nospe. Plant type effect Earth, level 3 ATK, 600 def, 1000. Ready Papa. The little plant girl cheered as she took a fighting position on the field. There was a few seconds of silence before everyone from the obelisk blue dorm, besides Zane and Alexis, and Crowler burst into laughter. What's the point of summoning that pointless thing? Crowler asked before he started laughing more. Shut up. Jaden snapped. None of my cards are pointless. And besides, if it's so pointless you won't have any trouble taking it down, will you? Especially since it's your turn. Fine. Crowler said as his dual code ejected a new card. I place 2 cards face down and play the face down Heavy Storm. Sorry, but I activate the quick play spell card Hero Circle. Jaden quickly countered, activating a spell card which had the picture of a silhouette surrounded by an energy ring split into 4 colors. Red, blue, green and gray. This card has 4 different effects, which one depends on the element of elemental hero I have on the field. Nospe is an earth monster, so that means that since I have an elemental hero on the field you are unable to destroy my spell or traps this turn. That means you just destroyed your own traps for nothing. As Jaden finished his thought, a great wind flew through the field just before a circle surrounded the 5 monster zones and 5 spell trap zones on Jaden's side of the field just before the 2 traps on Crowler's side of the field were blown away by the wind. I wouldn't say that, because the 2 traps I destroyed were 2 copies of the Statue of the Wicked. When these cards are sent to the graveyard I get to summon 2 wicked tokens. As Crowler finished his gloat, 2 hideous-looking serpent monsters. Wicked Fiend Token. Fiend type Dark, level 4 ATK, 1000 def, 1000. Crowler must be using his own deck in this duel. The boy with glasses said. Then this duel is over. No one can beat the deck of an expert like Dr. Crowler. The other boy said. I think I'm going to enjoy Crowler wiping the floor with that kid. I just wish they treated all the other second-rate duelists that apply at this academy the same way. Chaz chuckled. What an elitist snob. Alexis said, bullying some kid with his very best cards. You're too soft, Alexis. Zane spoke up. I just hope we get to see that legendary rare card Crowler had stashed in that deck of his. I tribute my 2 tokens so I can summon the mighty ancient gear golem. Crowler finished as he raised his hand to the sky. The 2 tokens exploded into a pillar of light which faded to reveal a giant man made out of old rusted metals and gears, colored a deep rusted brown with giant clawed hands and a single red eye shining from under its Spartan-like helmet. Ancient Gear Golem. Machine type effect Earth, level 8 ATK, 3000 def, 3000. That's it, that's his legendary card. Alexis gasped. The Ancient Gear Golem. Now it looks like we're about to find out what makes it so legendary. Zane added. Now, I hope you're not too scared of my legendary Ancient Gear Golem. Crowler said sarcastically towards Jaden. No way, that's a cool card. I've always wanted to fight one. Too bad you won't be able to do anything with it this turn because I activate my trap, threatening roar. A loud roar filled the field causing the golem to take a step back. Now you can't enter your battle phase. Whatever. I end turn. You sure, Doc? Jaden asked, shocked at the doctor's apparent stupidity. Yes, you slacker. Just make your move. Crowler snapped in anger. Fine then. Jaden shrugged as he drew a card and smirked. I activate my face down card, Rosebud. When I activate this spell I contribute Nospe to special summon elemental hero Poison Rose from my deck. As Jaden finished his explanation, Nospe began to glow as the bud that its body was made from opened up to reveal a new monster, the woman Jaden had given Nospe to earlier this morning, elemental hero Poison Rose. E-Hero Poison Rose. Plant type effect Earth, level 6 ATK, 1900 def, 2000. What is that? A man who wanted to be a woman but got a botched sex change operation. Poison Rose asked as she appeared next to Jaden, causing him to chuckle. Oh please, you think that weed can defeat me? Crowler asked arrogantly. Who are you calling a weed you he she thing? Poison Rose yelled in anger. I activate the trap card, Call of the Haunted. This allows me to bring Nospe back to the field. Jaden yelled as the small plant monster returned to the field. Ready mommy. Ready papa. Nospe said happy. What's this guy up to? Alexis wondered. He's summoned two monsters who are both far too weak to take down that golem. And in attack mode as well. Now I play the spell card. Shortcut. Jaden yelled as he activated the only card in his hand. This card allows me to pick one monster on my side of the field and they can now attack you directly. And I pick Poison Rose. The flowery hero was surrounded by a glowing yellow aura. Now I'll attack you directly with Nospe thanks to her special ability. The little green monster then fired blasts of green energy from the bulbs she had for hands which hit Crowler and sent him to the ground. Crowler. 4000-3100. And that's not all. When Nospe causes damage she gains 100 ATK in exchange for 100 def. Jaden continued. Nospe. ATK. 600 to 700, def. 1900. Now Poison Rose will attack you directly as well with Thorn Kick. Jaden added. Poison Rose jumped towards Crowler as green glowing thorns sprouted around her ankle before her foot slammed into Crowler's face. Crowler. 3100-1200. Jaden smirked before he continued his turn, and, like Nospe, when Poison Rose causes damage to my opponent she gains points, however she gains both ATK and def points, 200 of them actually. Poison Rose. ATK. 1900-2100, def. 2000-2200. Unfortunately, because of shortcut Poison Rose can't attack next turn. Jaden said with a smile, and now I end my turn. And I end you. Crowler screeched as he drew a new card before screaming, Golem, attack that slacker's little bud. Sorry but as long as I have another elemental hero on the field you can only attack Poison Rose, and Nospe can't be selected as an attack target as long as I have another elemental hero on the field. Jaden smirked. Whatever. Golem, destroy that weed. Crowler roared. I am not a weed. Poison Rose screamed in anger. And she's not being destroyed. Jaden said before he pressed a button on his dual disc, activating his last face down, go, draining shield. This card can only be activated when my opponent declares an attack. I gain life points equal to the attacking monster's attack points. Jaden. 4000, 7000. Wow, this kid is good. He's making Crowler look like a rookie. Alexis pointed out in amazement. Let's see if he can keep pushing to, good doctor. Zane replied. Well, I play Card of Sanctity which allows us both to draw until we have 6 cards in our hand and play Confiscation. I give up 1000 life points and I can destroy 1 card in your hand. And I chose Monster Reborn. And with that, I end turn. Crowler. 1200-200. You can't be serious. Jaden said with a twitch of his eye as he drew a card, what do you teach again? I'm the techniques professor. Crowler yelled in absolute anger. Then I can tell you didn't earn your PhD in dueling and just bought it from a corrupt professor. Jaden deadpanned. Your entire strategy was just bring out that monster which has an okay effect but can be destroyed by a good number of different strategies. In your 2 turns you did not play one face down to try and protect yourself or your monster and, to finish it, you played Confiscation which makes it so all I have to do is use Nospe's effect for battle and I've won. This caused the entire school to fall quiet as they realized what he had said. No way. Bastion muttered in astonishment. Yay. Cyrus nodded in agreement. He's right. Alexis muttered in understanding. Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? Crowler screamed in rage. I am the Elemental King. Jaden replied fiercely. No way. Chaz yelled in fear. He's him. Bastion roared in shock. Seriously. Alexis gasped. The Elemental King. The world's best elemental hero user. Zane muttered. Impossible. Crowler stuttered as he tried to back away. Now, my turn. Jaden yelled as he looked down to his cards and smiled when he saw a certain card. Hey, it's you. He only heard a giggle back. Well, let's take you for a test drive. Jaden then looked to the good doctor before he yelled, game over. No. Crowler screamed. That was the famous line that the Elemental King would always say just before he finished a duel. Jaden then held out his hand and yelled, I sacrifice both Elemental Hero Poison Rose and Elemental Hero Nospe to summon out a new hero. Sorry girls. It's okay sweetie. Rose nodded. Bye papa. Nospe said as she waved at Jaden before both mother and daughter turned into partials of yellow light. What could he be bringing out? Alexis wondered. I summon the elemental hero sorceress. Jaden yelled as he slammed the card down into he field. A pillar of black energy burst from the ground before a figure rose from it. The girl looked just like Dark Magician Girl except very different at the same time. She had lost the permanent blush on her face, her periwinkle blue hat with light pink trim had changed into a dark purple hat with black trim. Her hair was slightly more spiky and less neat but more wild yet still perfectly maintained and smooth. Her normal costume was also gone. On her arms wear light blue gloves that reached past her elbows and ended with black lining, around her waist was a dark purple skirt with a black belt, on her upper body was a black tube top-like article of clothing with light blue shoulder pads which meet in the middle of her chest with a red gem in the middle with the 5-point star that was the symbol of the Dark Magician monsters and, leading from the middle of the shoulder guard's collar bone armor was a light blue loincloth that reached down to her knees. Her skin was also a slightly more tan shade and her lips were coated with a black-purple lipstick. Her bright blue eyes shinned as the pillar of energy disappeared. E-Hero Sorceress. Spellcaster type effect dark, level 7 ATK, 2500 def, 2000. W. Wow. Is that Dark Magician Girl? Cyrus yelled in shock from the stands. It looks like it. Bastion. Ha. That's Slacker's toast. He throw away his chance of winning for a monster that's weaker than Crowler's. Chaz arrogantly boasted. And now her ability activates. Jaden yelled, shocking everyone again. As long as Sorceress is on the field all elemental heroes gain 300 attack points. Sorceress was surrounded by a dark purple aura as her attack was increased. Sorceress. ATK, 2500-2800. So, she's still not stronger than my golem. Crowler boasted as he felt his confidence begin to grow again. She is. Jaden smirked as he raised a card with AH surrounded by fire. Until I play the spell card H Heated Heart to increase her attack points by another 500. A small fire started in Sorceress, Heart before it grew out and enveloped her in a fire aura. Sorceress. ATK, 2800-3300. So much for the good doctor. Zane said, folding his arms in front of his chest. Yay. Something tells me that he'll make this year very interesting. Alexis nodded. Now just hold on a second. Crowler stuttered as he started to back away. I don't think so. Jaden smirked. Now, elemental hero sorceress attack him directly with Shadow Inferno slash. Yes my king. Sorceress said in a musical voice as a staff made out of black fire appeared in her hand before the fire disappeared revealing the staff of the Dark Magician Girl, except the blue handle was black, the spiral was a small purple gem and at the bottom of the staff was a small curved scythe-like blade. The gem began to glow as the blade grew and was encased in a black fire. The elemental hero version of the Dark Magician Girl jumped into the air and came down with her blade now 10 feet long and 5 feet wide. Sorceress yelled as she slashed through the ancient gear golem, the black fire blade cutting through the metal Goliath as if it was made out of butter. The giant monolith then fell to pieces before the black fire blade slashed Crowler, sending him flying into a wall as his life points fell. Crowler. 200,000. Jaden wins. Jaden smirked as he turned to the crowd and raised his right arm into the air causing them to burst into cheers. This is gonna be a good year. He thought as he saw Sorceress bow to the crowd as she slowly faded away. Name. Hero Circle. Type. Quick play spell. Effect. This card's effect depends on the type of monster on your side of the field. Fire monster add 500 ATK to all, elemental hero, destiny hero, and evil hero, monsters till the end phase. Water monster no monsters with elemental hero, destiny hero, and or evil hero in their name can be destroyed this turn. Wind monster all monsters with elemental hero, destiny hero, and or evil hero in their name in your hand have their level reduced by 2 until the end phase of the second turn after this card is activated. Earth monster as long as you have a monster with elemental hero, destiny hero, and or evil hero in its name on the field no spell and or trap cards on your side of the field can be targeted by your opponent's spell and or trap cards until the end phase. Name. Elemental hero sorceress. Level. 7. Type. Spellcaster effect. Attribute. Dark. ATK def. 2500 2000ths. Effects. 1. Add 300 ATK points to all monsters with elemental hero, destiny hero, and or Evil hero, in their name as long as this card is in attack position. 2. Once per turn destroy a spell or trap card on the field. 3. When an elemental hero is selected as an attack target, discard this card from your hand to the graveyard to reduce all battle damage and effect damage to 0 until the end phase. I hope you all liked this chapter. Happy birthday Rubex X7, you rock bro. A link to a picture of elemental hero sorceress will be on my homepage as soon as my sister has uploaded it, for those who wish to see it. See you next time. OTK, Sacred Talk and Lakeside Duel. Okay everyone, and hello to the next chapter of Elemental King Jaden. Before I start the chapter however, a few people have been confused about who is in the harem. The harem will consist of Alexis, E-Hero Burstinatrix, E-Hero Lady Heat, E-Hero Poison Rose, Yubel, E-Hero Sorceress, Jasmine and Mindy. I'm also considering adding Blair and Camula. I have also had a lot of people ask when the evil heroes and Yubel will appear. Jaden will evolve, getting the evil hero cards to fuse with his deck when he masters his powers as the Supreme King. Yubel won't be used until Season 2, as a card that is, she will appear as a spirit every now and again when Jaden needs help. Oh, and this is gonna be like a double feature. Episodes 2 and 3 are gonna be mixed together. Oh, and this chapter is ridiculously long. Enjoy. So, please enjoy the chapter. Disclaimer. I do not own Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Key. Talking. Thinking. Dual Spirits Talking. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Elemental King Jaden Yuki. Chapter 2. OTK, Sacred Talk and Lakeside Duel. A large white boat sailed through the waters of the sea. Normally the students would be flown in via helicopter, but somehow the rotors and equipment had melted. #cough #Burstinatrix #cough #Lady Heat #cough so they were forced to use the cruise ship, to the utter dismay of the students, of course. The girl from the exam, Alexis Rhodes, was walking down near the back of the boat with her friends by her side, Jasmine Makurata and Mindy Hamaguchi. I'm using their last names because the English dub never gave them any. Both of them were fellow Obelisk Blues and longtime friends. Jasmine had dull orange hair that reached her chin with similar gray eyes as Alexis's. Mindy had light black hair done up in a bun with deep brown eyes. All three of the girls were wearing the Obelisk Blue girls' uniform. The three of them were talking about random things, mostly how amazing it was that the Elemental King was going to be in their year, and if the school #cough #Crowler #cough wasn't corrupted, a complete jackass, then he'd be in Obelisk Blue with them. When they turned the corner they stopped, their eyes widening and shock filling them. Near the small pool at the back of the ship were 3 lounge chairs, and in the pool were 2 figures. On the middle chair was Jaden Yuki, sunglasses over his eyes, a light snore escaping his lips showing he was asleep. He was only wearing a pair of black swimming trunks with a golden vertical eye which held a vertical snake-like pupil inside on his right leg. Jasmine and Mindy were drooling at the sight of his perfect body, even Alexis was struggling to hold the staring at bay. On the chair to his right was Elemental Hero Burstinatrix, except the girls didn't know that, only wearing a red one-piece with a flame cut out near her stomach showing her belly button and some more of her ashen skin. On the chair to his left was a woman with tanned skin, long bright orange hair like a flame. Her eyes were also hidden by a pair of sunglasses, and she was wearing a red-orange 2-piece bikini. In her arms was one of those 3-part folding mirrors used for tanning. This was Elemental Hero Lady Heat. Inside the pool were 2 people who Alexis, Jasmine and Mindy all remembered. The first was Poison Rose wearing a white one-piece instead of her leafy costume, stockings and boots. She was sitting at the pool's edge with just her feet inside the water. The other was Nospe, who was in the water wearing a rubber ring around her waist and flouting merrily as she played in the water. The appearance of those 2 were what shocked them. Burstinatrix and Lady Heat they would just mistake as normal people, maybe students or staff, but because of her leaf-like hair and purple skin color, as well as Nospe being a walking flower bud, they could tell something was up. But before they could make a comment, a shout of surprise, someone appeared in front of them with an annoyed look in her eyes. It was Elemental Hero Sorceress. They recognized the face of the Dark Magician Girl, the most famous female card in the game, only slightly older, more mature. She was only wearing a black one-piece swimsuit with some purple lining in her black hat. Oh, and her bladed magic staff. Can't forget that, especially with it pointed at the 3 girls. That's kinda important. Who are you and what do you want? Sorceress asking. Were Alexis Rhodes, Jasmine Makurata and Mindy Hamaguchi, Obelisk Blues and classmates of Jaden's. We were just walking around talking. Honest. Alexis quickly explained. You tend to do that with a blade staff pointed at you. No idea why. Sorceress kept her stare for several seconds before she lowered her staff with a light glare. Fine. Why is Jaden here with all of these dual monsters out? Mindy squeaked out. We are dual spirits. Poison Rose explained from the pool, turning to look at them. Jaden is the power to give dual spirits a tangible body for several minutes. We've got about 5 left on the clock. Only 5. No spay wind cuddly. Ah. Jasmine and Mindy cooed at the same time. How cute. Rose, Burstinatrix and I are all Jaden's lovers as well. Lady Heat said from her sunbathing position, not even giving them a glance. No space also his stepdaughter. He's in a 3-way relationship with dual spirits. The girls gasped. Yay. So, Burstinatrix asked from her positone in her lounge chair. The king is also always willing to have more potential wives if he and they share feelings for each other. Sorceress explained. And now, we would appreciate it if you leave. Oh, okay. Jasmine muttered before the 3 turned around and begged to walk away, feeling like they had just been in some sort of weird dream. A few hours later, Jaden yawned as he walked towards his room on the ship. The call had come in several minutes ago that there was only half an hour left until they reached Dual Academy, so Jaden was heading back to his cabin. He was almost there when he bumped into someone. Looking up as he caught his footing, he looked down to see a girl with blonde hair and gray eyes who was wearing the female version of the school uniform on the floor with her friends helping her up. Oh man, sorry about that, I had no idea where I was going. It's okay, I wasn't looking either. Alexis said as Jasmine and Mindy helped her up. OZNLY to look in shock as they saw Jaden. I'm Jaden Yuki, by the way. Jaden smiled as he extended a hand in friendship. Alexis Rhodes. Alexis said dumbly as she shocked the hat on the strange person in front of her. And these are Jasmine Makurata and Mindy Hamaguchi. Nice to meet you. Maybe I'll see you around the academy. Jaden asked. Yay. Jasmine nodded. Hey, which dorm are you in? Mindy asked curiously. Don't know. Jaden admitted. What do you mean you don't know? Jasmine asked with a gasp. I haven't opened my box yet. Jaden replied. It was true. After the examiners had decided on which dorm the students would be in, they gave them a box which had their uniform, their dual disc and their special PDA-like device, their dual pilot. Most people ripped the box open as soon as they got it, but instead Jaden waited until he was near the island, to hold on to the surprise a bit longer. Really? Alexis gasped. Yay, I like the surprise. Jaden shrugged. Well, see ya. Jaden then turned and ran the rest of the way to his room. On his bed was the box. Anticipation filled his body. Jaden sighed to keep calm as he opened the package with his name on. Inside was his school uniform, a red blazer with white trousers and red trainers. He also got the Dual Academy issued dual disc. This would not do. While he did not like his past life, he understood the necessity of it and that he shouldn't fight against it, especially since his powers are from the gentle darkness. He got changed and strapped his dual disc onto his wrist before he concentrated, darkness surrounding him for a few seconds before he slashed with his arm and the darkness shattered away, showing that he was now wearing different cloths. The blazer changed from red into black with the normally dark red trimming turning gold and the white section around his neck turning red. Meanwhile, his dual disc changed from white into a dull gray with the blue gem on the center of the main unit turning red and the red gem in the middle of the monster zones and spell and trap zones turned bright green. Jaden smirked as he followed the rest of the students off the boat, heading towards their entrance speech in their classroom while he checked on his dual pilot and saw he was in the Slifer Red dorm, most likely because of Crowler. He thought with a shrug. After about half an hour or so of getting settled, the freshman class got into what appears to be some kind of college lecture class that you would see in a university. In front of them was a large screen and soon enough, a person's face appeared. He was a bald man with a gray beard and looked to be in his late 40s to early 50s and was a coat-tail blazer like the blue blazers Jaden noticed, but it was darker red than the Slifers, more of a maroon color. There's the boss man, Jaden thought. Good to see he's backing the good old color red. Looks good on him. Welcome, elite duelists. The bald man greeted. I'm Chancellor Shepard, the headmaster of this school. You all used your skills to open the narrow admission gates. Jaden admitted that he was nodding off as the speech continued but couldn't help it. He waited and tried to continue listening to Shepard's speech. Please have fun studying in hopes of becoming the future king of games. Now please, get yourselves settled in at your assigned dorms. I hope you find them quite comfortable, depending on how you ranked of course. He finished with a slight chuckle before his image faded from the screen. The students left at that, Jaden walking along with Cyrus, who he had been standing next to during the speech. This place will be awesome, right, Cy? Jaden stated, asked with a wide grin. Why, yay, I think so, Cyrus muttered nervously. I can't wait for all the duels I'm gonna have. It'll be sweet. Jaden smirked. Well, I must say, you're exited. Bastian said as he walked towards them in a yellow blazer. Hey Bastian, you in red too? Jaden asked, a wide smirk on his face. Let's see. Yellow buttons, yellow sleeves, nope. I don't think so. Bastian answered. Oh, so that's how it works, Jaden realized looking at his formerly red blazer, feeling slightly embarrassed as he forgot that fact. He already knew it had just slipped his mind. Are you saying you just figured that out? Bastian asked incredulously with a raised eyebrow. So what? You ever think that maybe I was colorblind? Jaden replied with a hard glare. Actually, no, I didn't. Bastian said. Are you colorblind? Cyrus asked. Nah, but I could have been. Jaden snickered. Maybe we'll see you around the dorms. Jaden said to Bastian with a smile, again knowing that wouldn't happen, but he wanted to show his overly happy side while he could, before it started. The next 2 years will be hard. I doubt that, Bastian said as he pointed his thumb towards the other side of the island. Your dorms are over there. Jaden just smiled and said, well then, see you later. Let's go, Cy. Sure. Cyrus muttered before he and Jaden left on the way to their dorm. 5 minutes later. This is a dorm house. It looks more like an outhouse with a patio. Cyrus complained as he stared at the dorm. The dorm itself was a 2-story building with a staircase on the side. The shingles on the roof were falling apart and the walls were cracked in various places. Jaden climbed up the steps and looked out toward the sea. Well, that may be true, but the view here is incredible. Jaden said with a smile. Cyrus walked to where Jaden was and looked out. Wow. You weren't kidding, Jaden. This view is great. Cyrus exclaimed in awe. The sea glistened when the sun hit it at the right angle. The fish leapt, scattering tiny beads of light in various directions. The 2 new Slifers were awestruck by the beauty that was before them. Amazing. Verstinatrix sighed as she appeared next to Jaden before she added, even if it's water. Jaden smiled softly at his lover's words. Pretty. Nospe cheered from her place on Poison Rose's shoulders. Yes, it is, dear. Poison Rose nodded in agreement. It's the perfect place for a picnic. Lady Heat added. It is a very pleasant sight, my king, but I must remind you that there is more of the dorm to see than this view. Sorceress said as she appeared with the others. Jaden frowned but nodded. Ah, you're no fun. Lady Heat pouted as the dual spirits disappeared. Hey Sai, how about we go and check our rooms out? Jaden asked as they turned to the small blue net. Okay, Cyrus said eagerly. The 2 Reds walked around the corner and saw that their room wasn't all that far from the balcony. In fact, it was right in front of the stairs, room 319. Yep, this is the place. Jaden said as he opened the door. Wow, first classmates now roommates. You think that you were once an ancient pharaoh and I was your loyal priest? Cyrus asked, his eyes in upside down U's. Ha, ha, no way, I mean, they would have defiantly broke the molds when they made us. Jaden said, feeling the irony from his past life as an evil king rearing its ugly head again, as he walked over to where a window was and found it covered by a curtain. Now let's shed some light in here. He opened the curtain and let bright sunlight come in. The sunlight hit something in the top bunk and woke whatever it was up. Z's, what? Hey, that was closed for a reason. An angry voice roared. Jaden quickly dropped the curtain and looked to where the voice was coming from. Sorry bro. I didn't see you up there. Jaden said to the voice. Well, can you see me now? The voice said, still in the angry tone. A bulge came from the top bunk and a head with hair that stood up in the back poked out. The rest of the body followed and Cyrus immediately saw that the person was huge. Wah hhhhhhh. A giant koala. Cyrus screamed as he grabbed onto Jaden's arm. Will you knock it off with the screaming? I'm trying to catch some Z's here. Huh, never saw you around before. Oh, you guys must be freshmen. The boy said with realization. Yep, my name is Jaden Yuki. But I'm better known as the Elemental King. Jaden said with a goofy grin on his face. The boy sat up at that comment and nearly fell out of the bed. The Elemental King, he gasped. That's me. Jaden smirked. Oh man, an unethical pro right here in the red dorms. Sorry for my rude behavior, I didn't know it was you. Doe, where are my manners? My name is Chumley Huffington. Chumley said in one breath. Cyrus looked at Chumley, then Jaden, and then back to Chumley. He wore a confused expression on his faces until Chumley saw it. I take it that you are confused, huh? The giant boy asked the small Slifer. Cyrus nodded and Chumley sighed. The Elemental King is the master of the elemental hero archetype, which is said to be almost impossible to beat if someone can master it properly. He's been a big-time player in tournaments for then last 9, going on, 10 years. Most people say that if he's in a tournament it's better to just give up straight away and just take off running. Especially because it's rumored that Yugi Moto himself was his unofficial teacher. And he's here at DA of all places. Chumley said with a grin on his face. Jaden grinned sheepishly as he rubbed the back of his head. He had known that he was a big shot duelist and kinda famous, but he didn't think that people would be this excited to meet him. He looked at Chumley, who was explaining the 3 major dorms of the academy. Obelisk Blue was the top and where the best resided. Raw Yellow were kids who did really well on the written exams and practical exams. Slifer Red was the dorm that was nicknamed the dropout dorm, due to the fact that many Slifer Reds were so bad at school and dueling that they just dropped out altogether. Cyrus looked a little scared at this, but Jaden didn't even seem nervous at all. Hey, red is an awesome color. It's the favorite color of 2 of my girlfriends. Jaden shot off in annoyance. Well, one of them is ties between red and orange, but so what? 2 of your girlfriends? Cyrus and Chumley gasped in shock. Yay. I've got 3 girlfriends, who have agreed to share, and a kid. Jaden shrugged nonchalantly. Why, you're a dad. They gasped again. More like a stepdad. Jaden shrugged. One of my girlfriends was with a guy when she was pregnant, but the bastard walked out on her and we got together shortly before the baby was born, so I've kind of been like the dad for her. Wow. Cyrus muttered in shock and slight envy. Yay. Chumley agreed. Well, Chumley, you can get a bit more sleep if you want. How about we take a look around the actual school for a bit, Cy? Sure, Jay. Cyrus muttered before the 2 left the room. A little bit later, both of the Reds walked around until they entered a large room, obviously a duel arena. Jaden had a large grin on his face and was about to ask Cyrus for a duel so he could try this place out when he saw 2 kids wearing blue blazers talking to one another. What are you 2 Slifer slackers doing here? This is our turf. One of the blues said when he noticed them a few seconds later. Jaden looked at the blue and saw that it was the glasses-wearing guy who always hung around that punk named Chaz. The boy then seemed to recognize Jaden. Hey, you're the kid who beat Crowler. Glasses said. Yeah, and who might you be? The Elemental King asked. But the boy ignored the question. Instead, he turned around to face someone. Hey, Chaz. It's the kid who beat Crowler. The boy shouted at the stands. Jaden and Cyrus looked up at the stands and saw another boy wearing a blue uniform with raven hair. Jaden recognized him as Chaz and instantly wanted to pound his face in for the arrogant, superior than thou, smirk on his face. Hello, Chaz was it. My name is Jaden Yuki, but I'm Beateater, known as the Elemental King. Jaden said with a gentle tone, but it reflected a will of iron, a tone he had been practicing for years for when he would eventually return to the world of dual spirits. The 3 boys stiffened when they heard the title. Chaz was shocked but then became nervous. If he's really the Elemental King, then that win against Crowler was no fluke. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me, but I guess I was wrong. The ruler of the E-hero archetype is right in front of me. Chaz thought to himself before he slightly shook his head to wash the fear away. No. I am Chaz Princeton, the future king of games, and he's just a Slifer slacker. Even if he's the E-king, then he is nothing to me. He heard the 2 boys saying that Chaz was going to be the next king of games. Jaden just smirked. No way, Yugi, and I promised that he would not lose that title until I was ready, where I would then fight him for it in our glorious final duel before I had to return home. Please. You're nothing but a weak little Slifer slacker. Chaz mocked as his cocky attitude returned. What's going on here? A voice suddenly called, interrupting any further arguments. They all turned to see another obelisk walking towards them. It was Alexis Rhodes, Jasmine and Mindy by her side. Who's that? Cyrus wondered. Hey Alexis, Mindy, Jasmine. Jaden greeted with a wave and a smile. You know this slacker Alexis? Chaz asked in surprise. Chaz, you need to stop insulting the other houses. Alexis replied, ignoring his question. Chaz scoffed before turning back to Jaden. What do you say, slacker? Ready to fall to your superior? There is no one superior than the supreme. Jaden replied, his golden eyes glowing, and a king will never fall to the likes of you. Are you sure? Alexis asked in slight worry. He hasn't lost once in his last year of dueling prep school. Jasmine nodded in warning. Yay. I mean Chaz is, like, one of the strongest duelists in the Obelisk Blue first year class. Mindy added in slight fear. It's okay girl, I can take this punk down easily. Jaden assured them as he walked onto the duel field and pulled out his deck. Let's duel. Chaz yelled. Game on. Jaden yelled eager to make this disgrace to dueling fall before him. Chaz. 4,000. Jaden. 4,000. I'll start slacker. Chaz said arrogantly as he drew a card, smirking, before he slammed the card onto the field. I summon Chthonian Soldier in attack mode. A mean-looking man with a long curved blade appeared on Chaz's field before he roared in rage. Chthonian Soldier. Warrior type effect dark, level 4 ATK, 1200 def, 1400. And I end with a face down, your turn slacker. Chaz said with an arrogant smirk. My turn. Jaden growled as he drew a card, looked at it for a second before he smirked and called, game over. No way. Chaz gasped. AOTK. Alexis gasped. AOTK. Cyrus asked. One turn kill. It's almost impossible to pull off, but when it does, it is always amazing. Jasmine said in amazement, let's see if he can do it. Jaden then placed the card he drew onto the field. I play Pot of Greed top draw 2 cards. Jaden explained as he once again drew 2 cards. He then looked at them before he smirked and grabbed another card. I play Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy your face down in exchange for discarding a card from my hand. A twister filled the field and destroyed the face down on Chaz's field, which happened to be Mirror Force. Next I play the spell card Polymerization to fuse the Elemental Hero Woodsman and Elemental Hero Ocean together to summon the Elemental Hero Gaia. A stream of green light and a stream of blue light flew into the swirling portal that appeared behind Jaden. Then, out of the vortex, appeared a giant warrior about 18 foot large and was completely covered in thick, powerful and sleek black armor, large cannon-like gauntlets and red-orange gems covering the armor. E-Hero Gaia. Warrior type fusion, effect Earth, level 6 ATK, 2200 def, 2600. And that's not all, I then play the spell card Miracle Fusion. Jaden called as he placed the card on his field. And what does that do slacker? Chaz asked in arrogance. It allows me to remove from the grave the fusion materials of an elemental hero fusion monster and, well, fusion summon that monster. So I'll use it to unite my ocean and woodsman again by removing them from play from my grave to fusion summon the elemental hero Terra Firma. A large white warrior appeared, about 23 feet tall, with a bright red gem on its chest and 2 bright blue gems on its shoulders. E-Hero Terra Firma. Warrior type fusion, effect Earth, level 8 ATK, 2500 def, 2000. No. No way. You have one of the legendary plant cards? Chaz asked in fear. Yep. And the fight's about to end. Jaden smirked. First I use Gaia's effect. This halves your Chthonian soldier's attack points and adds the other half to Gaia. Chaz's monster was suddenly surrounded by a dark blue aura that was then drained away and into the cannon-like gauntlets on Gaia's wrists. Chthonian Soldier. ATK, 1200-600. E-Hero Gaia. ATK, 2200-2800. And now I'll activate Terra Firma's ability. I send Gaia to the graveyard and Terra Firma gains his attack points. Jaden called as he raised his hand into the air. Gaia and Terra Firma slammed their hands together in a high five before Gaia turned into partials of light and was absorbed into Terra Firma's chest gem. E-Hero Terra Firma. ATK, 2500-5300. 5,300 attack points. Cyrus said in amazement, Jaden's got this one. Yep, especially since I have this. Go, shortcut. Jaden called as he played the same card he used against Crowler while Terra Firma was surrounded by a yellow aura. Now Terra Firma, attack. Thanks for that slacker. Chaz said arrogantly, seems you're not as great as you think. When Chthonian Soldier is destroyed you take the damage instead of me. I've won. You would have, if I was aiming for your soldier. Jaden replied with a smirk as Terra Firma was surrounded by a white aura, the white aura of his attack fusing with the yellow aura of Shortcut creating a spectacular golden aura. What do you mean? I've only got one monster on the field. But I used the spell card called Shortcut. I know your soldier's ability would go and kill me instead of you, so using Shortcut means that one of my monsters are allowed to do a direct attack, which means that I've won. Chaz screamed in fear. Terra firma. Finish this with Planet Crusher. Jaden called before the white hero jumped into the air while he was surrounded by his white aura before he plummeted to the ground, both of his fists slamming into Chaz's chest and sending him flying. Chaz. 4000. Jaden wins. I win. Jaden smirked in triumph. The holograms disappeared and the dual discs deactivated, all bark and no bite. Jaden scoffed to himself, his golden eyes losing their ghostly glow, as Cyrus ran over to him. Way to play, Jay. Cyrus praised. Thanks. Jaden grinned back and then turned to the 3 obelisks jerks walking over to them. Those 3 were just mad. Don't think that this is over, Slifer Slacker. Chaz growled. You're gonna regret messing with us obelisks. Well, I'm always up for a challenge. Chaz. Jaden smirked with a light chuckle. Cyrus laughed as Chaz and his flunkies stomped out of the arena. You know, all of us obelisks aren't that bad, Alexis said as the 3 girls strode up toward the duo. Jaden just smirked. I'm sure you're not. Jaden replied back. Alexis smiled at them. Thanks. Now you guys should get going. It's almost time for the welcoming feasts. This caught Jaden's attention as his golden eyes widened in wonder before they seemed to revert to brown for a second. Whoa, we get feasts? Jaden asked with excitement. Sigh. Let's go. See you later, Alexis. You too, Jasmine and Mindy. The brunette ran out of the arena, dragging his blue-haired friend behind him. This left the 3 girls to stare at him in wonder before Mindy and Jasmine both sighed dreamily. Mindy. Jasmine. You too, okay? Alexis asked in concern. Yay. Mindy sighed dreamily. Totally. Jasmine sigh added. Alexis just shook her head before she grabbed their arms and began to drag the 2 back to the obelisk blue girl dorm. Come on, girls, we'll be late for our feast. Alexis replied with a shake of her head. She suddenly blushed when he heard the girls make a pact. Share him, Jasmine offered, defiantly. Mindy nodded in agreement. Slifer Red Dorm. Upon entering the room at high speeds, thanks to Jaden's running, they saw several boys in red blazers sitting at wooden tables with meager plates of fish and beans in front of them. This is supposed to be our welcome dinner. One boy cried as he stared at his food. Not only that, but look over there. Our headmaster is a cat. Another shouted. Jaden looked over and saw that the boys' accounts were in fact correct. A fat orange cat with brown strips on its back stretched out and then returned to its sleeping position. No Space suddenly appeared next to Jaden and ran to the table, jumping on top of it and squealed happily like the little girl she was. Ah. So cute. She cooed as she got on all fours in front of the cat so her face was about level with its and began to stroke its head with her bud-like hands. The cat opened one eye and purred loudly. A curtain then opened and a wily man with square glasses stepped through with a smile on his face. Hello children, my name is Professor Lyman Banner. I am the headmaster of the Slifer Red Dorm. Banner said with a smile. Poison Rose appeared next to Jaden and walked over to Nospe, taking her off the desk and into her arms. No princess, leave the kitty alone. You've got Rottweiler anyway and you promised you'd play with him today anyway. But mama, cute kitty. Nospe pouted as she tried to get closer to the cat again. Alright, students, I would like you to me a bit about yourself. Banner said but was interrupted by a voice. Yum, this is pretty good, Jaden said with a smile on his face before he brought the bowl of rice and the chopsticks back to his mouth so he could continue to pig out. The entire room looked at Jaden in amazement and shock. Poison Rose chuckled to herself when she saw her love. Nospe forgot what she was throwing a tantrum about as she looked at her papa eat while Cyrus panicked. Jaden, he said that we needed to tell the guys something about ourselves. Cyrus yelped. Banner walked over and smiled a warm smile at Jaden. Ah, what the heck? Let's eat, the teacher said. Everyone began to dig into the food that was laid out before him. Nospe wiggled her way out of her mother's arms quickly and ran over to Jaden. Can I have some, Papa? Nospe asked with a puppy dog pout. Jadna pulled away from his food to smile at his daughter before he stealthily brought some of his shrimp to her. Thank you, Papa. The girl cheered before she began to eat like Jaden was. As if they had been starved for a month. Rose couldn't keep the smile off her face as she saw father and daughter together. The next day, it was the next morning at Dual Academy and everyone was in class now. Normally, the seating chart would be first years were at the bottom and the higher years going up. But since they still that dorm color thing going, blues were at the highest part of the classroom with yellows at the middle, and reds at the all the students were finally seated. The first teacher showed up, which unfortunately turned out to be Crowler. All right everyone, be seated. Dr. Crowler said, cutting off any noisy conversations. Listen up, because I won't repeat myself. I am your first teacher of the day, Dr. Velian Crowler, and I teach the different types of cards. Now, can anyone tell me the 3 types of cards in Duel Monsters and their categories? How about you, Miss Rhodes? Alexis nodded and stood up. Duel Monsters cards can be grouped into normal, effect, ritual, fusion, and the trap and spell cards that can also be monsters or summon token monsters. Trap cards can be grouped into normal, continuous, and counter traps. And spell cards can be grouped into normal, quick play, field, continuous, equip, and ritual cards. Perfect, Crowler said, happily in a sing-song tone. Well done, Alexis. Of course, I'd expect nothing less from one of my obelisks. Yes, Dr. Crowler, she responded as she sat back down. Now who shall we question next? The doctor directed his attention to the lower seats, eyeing the Slifers before a twisted grin spread across the Sheehy's lips before he yelled, "You! Cyrus Truesdale." Her shrill voice caused Cyrus to jump out of his seat. Explain to the class what a field spell is, please. A field spell is the thing that affects the thing. Cyrus started stammering and shaking, trying to avert his eyes from the class. Man, talk about nervousness to the extreme. Jaden groaned in sorrow for his new friend before his fist suddenly tightened, and he thought with a growl when he noticed the twisted look of pleasure on the doctor's face from the poor boy's reaction, and Crowler's loving it. Even pre-duelers know the answer to this one, ya slifer slacker. One of the obelisk students taunted, causing most of the blues to laugh out loud, excluding Alexis. Wait, I know this one. Cyrus whined. Relax, Cy, you totally got this one. Jaden assured his friend, his fists clenched tightly under the table as he attempted to keep his anger in check. I think not. Sit down. Crowler interrupted as Cyrus did as he was told. Now would someone else kindly tell me the answer? Preferably someone not in red, thank you. This caused the most blues, excluding Alexis, and some of the yellows, excluding Bastion, to laugh. I blew it. I made all the Slifers look bad, Cyrus said, depressed. Jaden's fists were now completely white from his rage and he stood back up. You know something, teach. Cyrus turned his attention to Jaden, who spoke out to the blue headmaster. You shouldn't be making fun of the Slifers. I mean, I'm a Slifer that beat you, so when you make fun of the Reds, you're making fun of yourself. Crowler was livid and started to bite down on a handkerchief while Slifers busted out laughing, including Jasmine and Mindy. Even Alexis laughed a bit. And, just to add insult to injury, Jaden continued, and just so you know, a field spell is a spell card that affects the conditioning of the game, adding or subtracting attack points from monsters depending on their type and or attribute, as well as having extra effects. Take the spell card Skyscraper for example. It only adds 1000 attack points to an elemental hero if they attack a monster with higher attack points than their own. Jaden then sat down with a pleased smirk on his face as Crowler ripped his handkerchief to pieces. That's it. I won't let this slacker in my school for another second. I'll see to it that he's expelled from here permanently. Crowler thoughtfully fumed. Later. A few hours later, another class started and the next teacher was the Slifer Red headmaster, thankfully. Alright class, as some of you may know, my name is Professor Lyman Banner. He greeted. I specialize in some of the lesser-known tactics in the world of dueling, some which might be unnatural to even the experienced duelist. By the way, thanks, Jay. Cyrus whispered to Jaden, who was leaning on his folded forearms. No problem, Cyrus. For what? Jaden asked sleepily. For sticking up for me. Cyrus replied a little too loud, making the professor stop his lecture. Jaden noticed Banner looking in their direction. Oh, I may have to do it again. Cyrus. Banner asked. Yes. Cyrus stammered, jumping out of his seat. Do me a favor and pick up Pharaoh, will you? Pharaoh. Cyrus blinked. Unless you're thinking about minoring as a scratching post. Banner joked. Cyrus was confused until he felt something brush up against his leg. It was the fat tabby cat that was sleeping during the Slifer welcome dinner. The class laughed as Cyrus picked up the cat and returned it to its owner. Later. Again. Chancellor Shepard, please tell me why one of your teachers, your vice-chancellor no less, and the head of the top dorm of the school shows blatant favoritism to his dorm and even encourages the discrimination to the people of the lower dorms. Also, why has he been allowed to ignore the system used to decide on which dorm students are meant to be in? I scored a 78% on my written exam. I didn't lose one life point against my opponent, who was Crowler using his own deck by the way, and even gained almost double my starting amount and, with my reputation as the elemental king adding on to that, I should be in raw yellow at least, but instead I'm a slifer red, and this is just because I was less than a minute late to the exam, and I was only late because I had to wait for the examiner to finish marking my exam and because I beat him in a duel. Jaden explained to the chancellor 10 minutes after his class had ended, making him late for his next lesson, although he didn't care, a cold glare in his golden eyes. This was the side Jaden did not normally show, the side of the king instead of the duelist. He loved having fun, pretending to be ignorant, a normal person, but he knew one day that he would have to leave for the world of dual spirits so he could rule. It was who he was. His destiny. That's why he wanted to enjoy life as much as possible before he was ready, which was why he rarely acted like the king he'd need to be when the time came. I understand all of his problems, they have been reported for years. The problem is that we can't fire him because of secrets that the school has from past chancellors, which, if released to the public, would destroy the academy. Shepard sighed, thinking back to all the complaints and unfairness that the good doctor had caused. I can promote you to raw yellow if you wish. No thanks, I'd prefer to work my way up normally through the different exams and everything if that's okay. Jaden replied with a slight smile. Also, you don't have to fire him. Listen, I have an idea. Warn him that if he doesn't shape up by Christmas, then he will be stripped of his position as the obelisk head as well as vice chancellor. And, if he doesn't change, then just go through with the threat. Simple. What do you think? A cruel smirk crossing his face. I like that idea very much, Mr. Yuki. Shepard said, a similar smirk spreading across his face. Good. Jaden nodded before his eyes darkened again. And I'm sorry, but I also came to give you a warning. It's going to be this year, Shepard. The day you've been fearing. They will awaken. How do you know about them? Shepard asked in shock and fear. Do you know of the Supreme King? Jaden asked, closing his eyes. Vaguely. Shepard admitted, I do know that he was an evil king who ruled another dimension with an iron fist. Well, that's the thing. I'm the reincarnation of the Supreme King. The sacred beasts were created as my past life's ultimate warriors. The will only be able to be used in a duel without killing every card on the planet if I am the one using them. Shepard's eyes widened at this. I wish to atone for the sins of my past life. I want to be a better person. I will help you stop the Shadow Riders when the time comes, and if the beasts wish to join me after, then they will be forever safe back with their master. What? Think about it, Shepard. From now until they arrive. What better way to fight the abusers of darkness than the King of the Gentle Darkness? Jaden asked before he turned and left the Chancellor's office to let the old man think. Meanwhile, in Crowler's office, the doctor was writing a letter down with a white feather pen. How dare that slifer slacker Jaden make a mockery of me in front of my whole class like that? He grumbled as he folded up the letter and placed inside an envelope. It'll be the last mistake he'll ever make. He then picked up a mirror and placed red lipstick on his lips, which was very creepy. As he finished, he kissed the back of the letter and chuckled to himself. There, the big kiss off. Next, he ran out of his office and into the boys' locker room, since Jaden's next class was gym with Fonda Fontaine, the gym instructor. Now to plant the bait where Jaden will be sure to find it. Crowler snickered as he opened up about 4 lockers which were empty. When he got to the 5th one, aha! Jaden's shoes. He'll be sure to find it here. Crowler snickered to himself as he placed the letter on top of Jaden's shoes and left as quick as possible. Elsewhere. A little bit later, Jaden came into the locker room. This was the class he was late for, not that he minded, he got through to the Chancellor. He suddenly noticed someone at his and Cyrus' shared locker. They'd decided to share when they saw Jaden's, which was, well, to put it simply, there was a slice of pure green pizza on the wall which Jaden was sure he saw move. He calmed down when he saw who it was. It was just Cyrus. Looking closer at his little friend, he noticed that what he held in his hands was, in fact, a love letter. Huh? Jaden blinked in shock, looking over the blue-haired boy's shoulder. Wait, you got a love letter, Cyrus? Ah! Cyrus cried in shock, turning around to see Jaden right behind him, causing him to stumble back. Jaden. Where did you come from? I was here the whole time. Jaden shrugged. So, about that letter. I found it in our locker on top of your shoes. Talking about that, why are you here if your shoes are in there? Those are a spare pair I put there in case my shoes get reeked. You know, like the sole breaks unexpectedly, or I just need a spare pair because of the pair I'm wearing being covered in mud. Jaden shrugged, So what's in this letter and who's it from? Oh, right. Cyrus grinned goofily as he opened up the envelope and the letter that was inside. From the moment I saw you, I've been in love with you. Whoa, how'd you do it? Jaden asked with raised eyebrows. It took me at least a month to get that kinda connection with a girl. I'd tell ya if I knew. Cyrus said, then continued reading the letter. Meet me tonight in the back of the Obelisk girls' dormitory so I can give you a big kiss. Endearingly, Alexis Rhodes. Say wah! Exclamation mark quote. Jaden gaped, a feeling of some strange dark force in the pit of his stomach, kinda like the one he felt whenever someone made a sexual comment about one of his girls during a duel. Let me see that. He said, grabbing the letter and reading it, but then his face grimaced immediately. Okay, I'm already seeing red lights here. Someone's definitely setting you up. This perfume smell also smells more like cologne than perfume. And Alexis doesn't seem like a person who would risk both of you getting in trouble by setting up a meeting just for a kiss, let alone setting it up at her dorm where if found you'd be expelled. And then there's the fact that Alexis seems to be more of the type to just walk over to you and tell you this instead of acting so mysterious. Although why is someone trying to set you up? He then turned to his short friend. Did you do anything to piss off anybody, other than Chaz? No, I wouldn't do something like that. Jaden frowned and then thought about it. Cyrus was too much of a nice guy to actually do something to make people mad. He then remembered where the letter was found. I smell a trap. Someone wants me outta here. Jaden said with narrowed eyes. Why, you think so? Cyrus asked nervously. Defiantly. It was on my shoes and there are several people who would try this kinda trap on me in order to get me expelled because of what I've done to Chaz and Crowler. Jaden nodded with an annoyed look in his eye before he turned to Cyrus. Listen buddy, tonight we're gonna head down to the girls' dorm and spring this trap and take down whoever wants to take me out. Up for it? Sure Jay. Cyrus nodded. That night. Hey, Cyrus, you ready to go? Jaden asked the little brunette as they got dressed and ready to go. Yay, sure Jay. Cyrus nodded before he then saw the dual disc Jaden clipped onto his arm and the deck box he placed on his hip. Why are you bring that? To be prepared. Replied Jaden simply. You never know what's gonna happen, so it's best to have a backup plan. Now, let's get moving. The pair then got on a boat towards the Obelisk girls' dorm. The girls' dorm was a fair distance and security was constantly on the path that led up to it. The only way to get there would be by boat since there was a lake behind the dorm and a small dock was at one end of the lake. Cyrus had leapt into a simple rowboat while Jaden got in also, rowing it. I'm coming Alexis my darling. Cyrus grinned happily. That got Jaden to stop rowing the boat and cover his mouth, the dark force in his stomach to return. Shish. Quiet. Jaden hissed in anger and annoyance. You trying to get us caught now? Sorry. Cyrus apologized. Girls' hot spring. Meanwhile, inside the dorm, 3 girls were in the Obelisk girls' bath, enjoying the hot water as they chatted like all girls do. They were Alexis, Jasmine, and Mindy. Can you believe what Jaden said to Dr. Crowler in class today? Asked Jasmine. That was so cool. He was showing the guy not to pick on people who obviously have confidence issues. Yay, totally. Mindy agreed, but what do you expect from our future boyfriend Jasmine? Jasmine giggled with Mindy lightly here. Yay, I mean he's obviously smart, what at getting a 78% and all. Jasmine nodded. He's also so sexy. Mindy added. A great duelist. Jasmine continued. He's so kind. Mindy sighed. His golden eyes are amazing. Jasmine noted. His voice is so joyful and energetic it's almost contagious. Mindy. He's got a great fashion sense. Jasmine commented. And he's famous. Mindy finished. He's perfect. The 2 girls sighed together in joy. Don't you think Alexis? Mindy asked the blonde. Unfortunately, Alexis wasn't really paying attention as she tried to look away from her friends. Yay, whatever. What's the matter Alexis? Jasmine asked before her eyes narrowed playfully and a grin spread across her face. Don't tell us you're jealous with our relationship with Jaden. I'm not. Alexis stuttered with a heavy red blush spread almost all across her face. Don't worry Alexis, we wouldn't mind sharing with you. Would we Jasmine? Mindy asked with a playful grin of her own. Of course not Mindy. Jasmine agreed. But he's already in a relationship. Remember? Alexis said, trying to get out of Tiz's conversation. Exactly. He's already in a polygamous relationship so we have a chance to just join in. Jasmine shrugged. I mean, you heard that sorceress, he's fine with having more girlfriends if they share feelings. Mindy added. You can, totally join in if you want. Or do you want him all to yourself? It's not that, Alexis yelled in embarrassment. I just feel like I know him from somewhere, something that I can't remember physically, but the emotions of those memories still seeping through. Yay, I feel that way too. Jasmine said, suddenly thoughtful. When we watched his duel with Chaz, it felt like I'd been in a similar situation so many times in the past, watching him face down freaks like that with such confidence and ease that it always took my breath away. And in class, it felt like I'd seen him face down people like Crowler, so cocky and believed themselves to be better, and defended the weak no matter what. Mindy added, and on the ship, when he was asleep with those dual spirits, it felt like I'd seen similar scenes before, seen him relaxing and just plain happy to relax with those he cared about. Alexis finished, the deja vu feeling never leaving any of the three as they all hummed in thought. A ghostly figure seemed to appear behind the three for a few seconds. The figure looked vaguely human, and obviously female, with great dragon wings and 3 eyes, although the rest of her was hidden inside the shadows and her figure seemed to flicker in and out of focus every now and again. A smile appeared on her face, her bright white teeth becoming visible through the darkness as her voice came in a slight whisper, so quiet that the girls never heard her. They have started to remember, and then, the owner of the voice faded away completely. With Jaden and Cyrus. Cyrus and Jaden soon made it to the girls' dorm and they docked the rowboat they were on. We're here, Cyrus said with joy leaping out of the boat. Jaden groaned as he got off as well, cashing after the energetic brunette. The pair ran up to the front gates of the dorm with Cyrus darting away, but on the way Jaden noticed something on the ground. Kneeling down, he saw a chain and a broken padlock. Okay, this definitely has to be a setup. The Elemental King frowned as he looked up to see Cyrus still running forward. Cyrus. He then ran after him. Damn, that kid can run fast. Little did they both know that Crowler was hiding in the bushes, wearing a tight, black leotard for some strange reason. This will be perfect, thanks to that full love letter I wrote. I'll just wait here for Jaden to come around while he searches for Alexis. And when the time's right, I'll snap a picture of him, creating evidence that will get him expelled. Crowler laughed in his thoughts. He then saw someone coming. There you are, Jaden. You're falling right into my trap. Fall for it like the slifer sap you are. He snickered softly. Alexis. Cyrus called out with hearts in his eyes. Cyrus. Jaden cried. The obelisk headmaster's eyes bugged out to his horror. That's not Jaden. It's that stammering field spell nitwit. Wait, there's the slacker. But why'd he bring that blue-haired twit? Crowler shrieked. His yelling ended up attracting some trouble. It's a boy. A voice cried out. I'm not a boy, I'm a man, Crowler said, thinking he was discovered. Oh, forget it. You didn't see me, he said, getting away in hopes of not getting caught, and dove into the water to escape, clumsily. Thankfully for Crowler, it wasn't him the girls spotted, it was Cyrus and Jaden. The two boys were mobbed by several angry girls dressed in both their pajamas and their school uniforms. Then they were forced to their knees with several girls pinning their arms behind their backs, and all of the girls gave them both dirty looks, although one person faintly heard him and he growled as his golden eyes flashed for a second. Man, can today possibly get any worse? Jaden muttered to himself. Please let us go. Cyrus whimpered. He was so scared that he might wet himself. 2 girls stepped out the crowd. It was Jasmine and Mindy, only they were in their towels that were wrapped around their bodies. Jaden couldn't help but stare, a feeling of familiarity to the sight bubbling up inside him and a nosebleed threatening to happen in second. Not until you tell us why you're both here. Jasmine said crossly, a slight feeling of hurt at seeing Jaden there, and it better be good. Later. Again. I'm doing this a lot, aren't I? A short time later, both Jasmine and Mindy tied both Cyrus and Jaden's hands together before dragging them both into the dorm for a proper interrogation. Adding on to it, Alexis, who was late to see the excitement and surprised to see Cyrus and Jaden here on the girls' dorm. After Alexis's friends were dressed and all three questioned the boys. Okay, time for an explanation. Jasmine frowned. What are you two doing here? I bet you're both a pair of peeping toms, aren't you? Mindy accused. No, Cyrus exclaimed fearfully. Honest, I was just here to meet Alexis. Huh, the obelisk girl in question blinked. But Cyrus, I never called you or invited you here. Huh, but, the letter. Cyrus mumbled, feeling his heart breaking. Let me explain, Jaden sighed. He looked up at the 3 girls. Cyrus found a love letter in his locker before gym class. I got suspicious when I saw that the letter was signed Alexis Rhodes. Totally. Jasmine nodded. Your friend is really short and Alexis is really tall. She's great at dueling and he isn't, and she's really hot and. I get it, Cyrus exclaimed. And then I thought about it and realized it might have been a trap for me because the letter was placed atop my shoes. We needed to confirm this with you, Alexis, whether it was real or not, and if it was real, who it was for. Jaden said. Cyrus, do you still have this letter? Alexis asked with her own suspicious frown. Yeah, sure. Cyrus nodded as he managed to pull the folded letter out of his pocket. Gripping it in his hands, he held it up for the obelisk girl to take. Alexis picked up the letter and unfolded it. She and her friends peered at the letter for a moment to see what was on it. Alexis's frown increased before she looked at the short boy. Cyrus, this isn't even my handwriting. Alexis sighed. Not to mention that my name is spelled wrong. Huh. Cyrus gasped in shock and Jaden chuckled. I knew it was a setup. Jaden chuckled. Not only that, Jasmine added, but this letter is addressed to Jaden Yuki. What? Cyrus cried out. You mean I can't even get a fake love letter? You mean you never noticed? Jaden gasped. That's the first thing you check, man. I knew something like this would happen. Damn, his eyes then widened before he added, and how did I not notice? I looked over it to realize what was going on and I missed my own name. He then banged his hair against the wall behind him and yelled, stupid. Stupid, 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 stupid. He groaned wearily before looking at Alexis and her friends. Look, we're terribly sorry about this, we really are. But now that you know we're innocent, mind letting us go? Alexis seemed to think about it before answering. Sure. Really? Was the shocked expression of both Cyrus and Jaden. What? Was Jasmine's reply, you're just going to let them go? Just like that. They're not at fault, Jasmine, not really, they were tricked. Mindy replied, causing the redhead to sigh and nod. We'll let you go free, if you can beat me in a duel. Alexis said. Jaden sighed at this. I see where this is going. Jaden said. I win, we go free, lose, we get reported, sound about right? That's right, Alexis confirmed. Good thing I had my duel disc and deck with me. Alright, you're on, Lat. You know what? I quit. Storms off. Later on, the duel was taking place on the lake with Jaden and Alexis standing up in a couple of boats. Cyrus was in Jaden's boat, and Mindy and Jasmine were in Alexis's. Crowler was in the water nearby, finally coming out of hiding, but still far away from the students. So it's that slacker versus Alexis, huh? Show him the power of the obelisks, Alexis. Don't you dare hold back, Alexis. Jadna called over to her. I have a feeling like you'd be a challenge and I haven't gotten one in a while. Show me what makes you the Queen of Obelisk Blue, Your Majesty. Jaden smirked as he mock bowed at the end of his request challenge. Since I've seen what makes you the Elemental King a few times already, I'll be sure to show you I'm just as good, Your Highness. Alexis shot back as she mock curtsied, copying his request. As they stood back upright at the end of their joke, their eyes meet and a strange fire of familiarity filled their eyes, as if they had this kinda duel so many times in the past, with similar jokes, and they both couldn't help but smile. Let's duel then. Game on. Jaden yelled in acceptance. Alexis. 4,000. Jaden. 4,000. All start. Alexis said as she drew a card. I summon Etoile Cyber in attack mode and play a card face down, and then it's your turn. A beautiful woman appeared on Jaden's side of the field. She was wearing a fully body red outfit made out of what looked like silk with gold lines on her knee area, frilly shreds of a periwinkle blue skirt hanging off the sides of her hips. Her outfit left her arms free except for the long red gloves that reached past her elbows and white ribbons wrapped around them. Her skin was a pale blue and she had long orange hair with a strip of the red material wrapped around her face like a blindfold, covering her right eye. Etoile Cyber. Warrior type effect Earth, level 4 ATK, 1200 def, 1800. My draw. Jaden said as he increased his hand to 6. I play my spell card called Double Summon so I can summon twice this turn. I summon Elemental Hero Heat in attack mode and Elemental Hero Woodsman in defense mode. Two men appeared in front of Jaden. This man was covered in a white suit that covered 100% of his body, including his head, with fire designs decorating his chest and shoulders. His legs, arms and neck had golden armor that blended in with the main costume. Large gold gauntlets with flame decoration were on his forearms. His glowing green eyes were visible from slits in his white mask and a large red crown-like item was atop his head. Next to him was a large man with green skin and his entire right side made out of wood appeared in front of Jaden, on a single knee with his arms crossed in front of him. E-Hero Heat. Pyro Type Effect Fire, Level 4 ATK, 1600 Def, 1200. E-Hero Woodsman. Warrior Type Effect Earth, Level 4 ATK, 1000 Def, 2000. E-Hero Heat. ATK, 1600, 1800, 2000. Why did your Heat's attack points suddenly increase like that? Alexis gasped. Simple. Heat gains 200 attack points for every elemental hero on my side of the field, including himself. Jaden smirked. I then play 2 cards face down with that it's your turn. Jaden then lowered his arm, his hand now down to 1 card. Wow, this Slifer's good. Mindy gasped. What do you expect? He's the elemental king. Jasmine shrugged. Impressive. Alexis nodded as she drew a card, but now I play the spell card Polymerization to fuse Étoile Cyber with the Blader Skater in my hand to summon the Cyber Blader. Étoile Cyber and a blue streak entered the swirling fusion portal before a new monster appeared. This monster looked like Étoile Cyber, but most of her costume had revealing dark purple skin including her stomach area and upper legs, her hands and her upper body. A pair of ice skates wear on her feet, her hair changed to dark blue, her knees and half her forearms and elbows wear a pale white violet. Her face was covered by a red visor. Cyber Blader. Warrior Type Fusion Effect Earth, Level 7 ATK, 2100 Def, 800. And since you have 2 monsters on your side of the field, my Cyber Blader's attack points double. Alexis proclaimed as she extended her hand, shocking Jaden and Cyrus. Cyber Blader. ATK, 2100, 4200. Impressed yet? Alexis asked with a smirk. Impressed. I think I'm in love. Jaden called back with an extremely wide smirk, unknowingly making both Mindy and Jasmine stiffen with jealousy while Alexis tried her best to stop a blush from covering her face before she smirked. That's sweet. Too bad I have to crush you. Alexis smirked as she pointed at Jaden. Now destroy his Heat Cyber Blader. Go Alexis. Destroy the slacker. Crowler cheered. Go trap card. Elemental recharge. Jaden called as he activated his first face down. This card means that I gain 1000 life points for every elemental hero on my side of the field. 2 large glass cylinders appeared behind Heat and Woodsman before the heroes walked in. The cylinders had wires that connected to Jaden's dual disc. Green and red electricity traveled down the wires as Jaden's life points increased. Jaden. 4000, 6000. So, my Cyber Blader still destroys your monster. Alexis called before her monster jumped into the air and performed a spin kick which smashed Heat into pixels. Jaden. 6000, 3800. He's amazing. Using the traps made him just barely lower than Alexis instead of having less than half his life points. Jasmine gasped. No wonder he's called the master of the elemental hero archetype. Mindy nodded. No. Crowler wind. And now I'll activate my other trap card. Go. Hero Signal. This card allows me to special summon a level 4 or below elemental hero from my deck when one on my field's destroyed. So I'll call out Heat's little sister. Come on out, elemental hero Lady Heat. Jaden called as another female hero appeared on his field. This was the 3rd female monster that was with Jaden on the boat, except she was dressed differently. She was wearing a female equivalent of Heat's costume. A white bodysuit covered her body, except hers left her arms, neck and head uncovered. Her breasts were accented by a flick of red which was designed after flames, the right one continuing off her chest and down to her waist. Her waist had a gold belt which had 2 red pieces of cloth, similar to a skirt, with golden accents. On her right leg were more flame designs while the left leg of her costume was split apart slightly at her upper thigh. The 2 separate pieces of the long boot and costume had a golden ring right where that part of the clothing ended with a golden connector like those that connect stockings to a garter belt held the 2 together. Her feet were covered by flame red boots. At her shoulders was a small orange cape with golden metal guards attached at her shoulders. Her forearms had red gauntlets that did not cover her hands and her head had a red headdress with a green gem, almost like a crown of flames. And, without the sunglasses blocking the sight of them, you could see her shining green eyes. E-Hero Lady Heat. Pyro Type Effect Fire, Level 4 ATK, 1300 Def, 1000. Ready. The female fire heroine said as she dusted her hands off. Nice. Alexis smiled. Although your monster is still way too weak to defeat Cyber Blader. Well, your turn. We'll see about that. Jaden said as he drew his card, making his hand now 2 cards. During my standby phase 1 can activate Woodsman's effect to add polymerization to my hand. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. The new card flew out of his deck with a green glow and was added to Jaden's hand. Now I play one card face down before adding Card of Sanctity to the field so we both draw until we have 6 cards in our hands. Jaden said, and both players drew their cards, Jaden drawing 5 and Alexis drawing 3, and now I'll end my turn. Mine then, Alexis said. However, just as she was about to draw, Jaden suddenly pointed at her. Lady Heat, show her your flames. Jaden called. What? Alexis yelled in shock. Got it, lover. Lady Heat smirked as 2 small fireballs appeared in front of her. During my end phase, Lady Heat deals you 200 points of damage for every elemental hero on my side of the field. And I have 2. Jaden explained, making the 3 girls gulp before Lady Heat just slashed her arm in the air, launching the fireballs with a proud smirk. This is gonna hurt, Jasmine muttered before the 3 girls tried to protect themselves from the fireballs. Alexis. 4000-3400. Well, that was unexpected, Alexis noted as she drew a card. I play the spell card Fusion Weapon and equip it to Cyber Blader, increasing her attack and defense by 1500. Cyber Blader's right arm turned into a slightly disgusting looking red cannon arm. I would like to point out that this cannot be done in real life because Fusion Weapon can only be equipped to a level 6 or lower fusion monster and Cyber Blader is a level 7. However, this is what happened in the anime, so it's happening here. Cyber Blader. ATK. 4200-5700, Def. 800-2300. Go Alexis. Show the slacker why he isn't worthy of being on the island. Crowler cheered in excitement. Well, looks like Jaden's gonna lose, Jasmine said in a sing-song-like voice, although she was slightly upset at that fact. Wow, strong monster Lex. Jaden smirked. Lex? Alexis asked. What? It's a nice nickname. You don't mind, do you? Jaden asked. No, it's fine. Alexis smiled softly, a soft blush on her face before her gaze steeled. Now, Cyber Blader, attack his lad Heat. Cyber Blader fired a pulse of energy from her cannon arm. That would work if it wasn't for my face down. Go. Hero Barrier. Jaden said as a blue spiraled vortex appeared in front of his lover, yellow electricity sparking all over it. If I have at least one elemental hero on my field, I can stop at least one attack. The energy blast hit the shield and died away. Well, then I'll end turn. Alexis sighed in annoyance. Let's go, Jaden said as he drew his card, making his hand 7, before he smirked. Game over. What? Jasmine gasped. Not good, Mindy muttered. Bring it, Alexis called, moaned, getting strange looks from her friend. She couldn't help it. A strange feeling of adrenaline had been washing through her body the entire duel, as if she instinctively knew she wouldn't win and was, instead, fighting for this moment. To make Jaden's victory as magnificent as possible. It felt like they had done this dance 1,000 times and its sole purpose was the finale, where it would end in passion, which Alexis was having a hard time holding in. But there was a deep wanting in her. A wanting to see how Jaden would take her down in one turn with how strong her monster is and how high their life points both were, still in the 3000 range, a wanting her lips to meet with Jaden's after the duel, a wanting for him to take her and a wanting to just be with him, but she held it in and the moan was the result. Well, first Woodsman will give me another polymerization, Jaden said, another card being added to his hand. Next I'll play it to fuse the elemental hero Lady Heat on my field with the elemental hero Burstinatrix in my hand to make elemental hero Blazing Amazonas. The original flaming female of the elemental heroes appeared next to Lady Heat, the two smiling at each other. Well, looks like it's Lady's night. Burstinatrix smirked, causing Lady Heat to giggle. Let's go. Lady Heat waved before the two walked through the fusion portal that appeared behind them. The new monster that appeared looked like Burstinatrix, except her skin was a pale pink, the halfway point between Burstinatrix's ashen skin and Lady Heat's soft tanned skin. Her costume was also different. It was now a white leather-like material instead of the red. Atop her now white fingerless gloves were a pair of red handless gauntlets. Her right boot was covered in red fire-like patterns. Her hair changed from long sweeping gray and white locks into a bright red color and tied back in a ponytail. A fire-like breastplate was on her chest. Her golden helmet was now red with some golden accents around the pointed crest in the middle, and wings of fire came out of the middle of her shoulder blades. In her hand was a 6-foot-long sword which was crafted like a flickering flame and was made out of an amazing golden metal with red accents along the blade. E-Hero Blazing Amazonas. Pyro-type fusion, effect, fire, level 7 ATK, 2500 def, 2200. Next I'll play my second polymerization to fuse the elemental hero Woodsman on my field with both the elemental heroes Clayman and Poison Rose in my hand. Woodsman turned into a forest green as he flew into the sky, a lighter green glow fired from Poison Rose in Jaden's hand and a blackish green light came from the Clayman card, combine and form elemental hero nature goddess Artemis. The three streaks of green light collided into the portal and a flash of bright light filled the area. 3 fusion material monsters. Jasmine gasped. It's gonna be powerful. Mindy nodded while Alexis just sweated. The new monster descended and everyone was shocked to see its stats. E-Hero Nature Goddess Artemis. Divine Beast Fusion, Effect Earth, Level 9 ATK, 3600 Def, 2800. Impossible. Crowler screamed as he let go of the rock and was swept by the waves of the lack that Jaden's monster's power released. 3600 attack points. Mindy gasped. A divine beast. Jasmine added. I've never heard of that card before, what is it? Alexis asked in fear. The new monster was Poison Rose except with some major differences. First was the fact her hair was now, well, real hair. It was now pale green and reached her ass with her headdress now gone which allowed her hair to flow and wave amazingly. Her skin had turned into the most beautiful and perfect tan shade, not too pink and not too orange. Her clothing had changed drastically. She was now wearing a forest green toga, like those worn in ancient Greece, which was slightly open at her chest area revealing a large amount of her cleavage. Her legs were still covered by her stockings, as could be seen through the gap of her toga, except they were now a deep black with some green vine patterning snaking its way up and her feet were covered by dark green high heels which revealed her stocking-covered toes. On both her wrists were bracelets made out of vines and leaves from different trees. Her shoulders were covered in a deep brown armor similar in design to Clayman's except more streamlined and they lay flat against her upper arms. She still had the pearl necklace and golden belt around her waist except they were both now made out of a strange platinum material. Her left arm was slightly brown and had a bark-like texture, similar to Woodsman's left arm. In her right hand was a bow made out of the same platinum-like material as her necklace and belt. All in all, she looked like the perfect union of beauty personified and a warrior. A true goddess. And then she spoke. Can we please hurry this up, sweetie? I need to put Nospe to bed. The newly summoned heroine said, her voice that of Poison Rose except the beauty of it seemed, enhanced somehow and Jaden just smile at her. Beautiful. Cyrus muttered, drool hanging from his mouth only for Jaden to smack him in the head, his smile replaced with a snarl, ow. My girl. Jaden growled at him before turning to the 3 girls, she's one of my elemental hero goddess cards, I've got 3. First is the nature goddess Artemis, named after the green goddess of the hunt, moon, nature and fertility. Next is the fire goddess, Vesta, who is named after the Roman goddess of family and home whose symbol was the sacred fire. And finally is the darkness goddess, who I have been holding onto for a while before I got the last card needed to summon her before the entrance exam, Nyx, who is named after the Greek goddess and or personification of darkness. I helped design them with Pegasus after he saw me at a tournament a few years ago, which he was invited to see by Yugi so he could show off his unofficial apprentice's skills. Everyone was shocked at Jaden's explanation. No way. Jasmine muttered. Seriously. Mindy gasped. You mean those rumors that the Elemental King is the apprentice of Yugi Moto are true? Alexis asked in shock. Yep. And you should feel honored, I don't normally have to summon this beauty out. Jaden smirked. While the goddesses are powerful, and are close to their strength, they aren't as strong as the Egyptian gods so you're also kinda lucky. He then raised a hand and said, ability time. Crap. Alexis muttered in annoyance, what do they do? First off, Artemis will destroy all of your spell and trap cards, both active and face down, and their effects are negated even if their effect activates when they are destroyed. The face down on Alexis's field as well as the fusion weapon on Cyber Blader both exploded into pixels. Cyber Blader. ATK, 5700-4200, Def, 2300-800. Next. By discarding 1 card from my hand I can use Blazing Amazoness ability to half one monster's attack points. Jaden smirked as he sent one of the last cards in his hand to the graveyard. What? Alexis gasped. Cyber Blader. ATK, 4200-2100. Now, Blazing Amazoness, attack with Inferno Blade. Jaden called as he pointed forwards. Let's go. Blazing Amazoness called in a voice that was a mix of Burstinatrix's and Lady Heat's. She then raised her hands, gripping the handle of her blade tightly, before she sprinted at great speed towards Alexis. She moved quickly, her body seemingly skating across the water's surface even more gracefully than Cyber Blader had been. Her sword exploded into ignition, the gold blade becoming coated in a layer of blazing fire. With a mighty swing, the blade cut right through Cyber Blader, ripping her in half, and turning her into pixels. Alexis. 3400-3000. Alexis grunted from the shockwave that took down her life points even more. Now, Artemis, end this with Arrow of the Hunt. Yes, my love. Let's see you stop this. Artemis smirked as she raised her bow and grabbed th string before pulling it back. An arrow made out of glowing green energy appeared before the divine beast monster let go of the string, causing it to fly through the air and slash through Alexis, right through the heart. It was a good thing that Jaden hadn't made this a shadow game, or that arrow would have defiantly killed her. Ah-h-h-h-h-h-h-h-h-h-h-h. Alexis screamed from the attack, Jasmine and Mindy joining her as the attack caused the wind to pick up and rock the boat so much that they nearly fell out. Alexis. 3000. Jaden wins. The two boats meet in the middle of what was, a few seconds ago, a battlefield to talk. Nice duel, Alexis, I really had to try there. Jaden smiled at her and the girl smiled back. I should really thank you for showing me such a powerful card. And I bet that wasn't even its full power, was it? Alexis replied. Nope. It still had another two abilities that are active when she's on the field. Jaden smiled. When she bottles an opponent's monster, that monster's effect is negated. Also, if she destroys a monster for every level that monster has, I gain 200 life points. So, if you had started with her, I would have gotten an even larger overkill and you would have had 5,200 life points. Alexis asked in shock, a raised eyebrow. Well, aren't you the gentleman? Hey, you wear a big challenge. If you could find a way to fine-tune your deck, then I think I might have needed two goddesses to win. Jaden smiled. Alexis blushed. Good enough to need two equivalents of the Egyptian god cards to defeat. She'd never been given such a big compliment before. Thank you, Jaden. Well, we'll see you in class tomorrow. Alexis said in farewell, feeling the want of release that the passion inside her veins was screaming for and having trouble holding it in. See you, Lex. Jaden smiled as he extended an arm which Alexis took, the two of them giving each other a firm handshake. Bye, Jay. Jasmine said as she stood up and hugged the Slifer. Bye, JD. Mindy said as she too hugged the Slifer. Jaden felt himself blush from both hugs, feeling both of the girls' developed chests against his. Night, girls. Jaden muttered as he took the oars of the boat and began to row back to the other side of the lake so he and Cyrus could run back to the red dorm. Let's go, girls. Alexis said as she took the oars and began to row back to their side of the lake and get to sleep, although she rubbed her thighs against each other slightly to try and keep the deep, raging feeling in her lower stomach at bay. Unfortunately, Jasmine and Mindy both noticed this and shared a gin. So, Alexis. Jasmine began. Yes. Alexis asked curiously. Want to take us up on our offer to share Jaden now, little Miss Horny? Mindy asked with a large grin, causing Alexis's eyes to widen and a deep blush to spread across her chest. Mindy and Jasmine held their composure for several seconds before they both burst out laughing. A figure appeared in the darkness, the same figure that was in the girl's hot spring. The same grin spread across her face as she said, It's soon, very soon. The king shall find all of the girls. And then, the queens shall rise. I forgot this one at the end of last chapter, sorry. Name. Shortcut. Type. Equip spell. Effect. Equip this card to one monster on your side of the field. That monster is now able to attack the opponent directly. The equipped monster is unable to attack the turn after you attack using this effect. Name. Elemental Hero Blazing Amazonas. Level. 7. Type. Pyro. Fusion. Effect. Attribute. Fire. ATK. Def. 2500-2200. Fusion material. Elemental Hero Burstinatrix. Plus, Elemental Hero Lady Heat. This card cannot be special summoned except by fusing the monsters listed above. This special summon counts as a fusion summon. Effects. Discard one card from your hand to half the attack point of one monster your opponent controls. If this card destroys a monster in defense mode, the opponent must send one card from the top of their deck to the graveyard for every star the monster has. Name. Elemental Hero Nature Goddess Artemis. Level. 9. Type. Divine Beast Fusion. Effect. Attribute. Earth. ATK. Def. 3600-2800. Fusion material. Elemental Hero Poison Rose, plus, Elemental Hero Clayman, plus 1 Earth, Elemental Hero. This card can only be special summoned by fusing the monsters listed above. This special summon counts as a fusion summon. Effects. When this card is summoned to the field, destroy all spell and/or trap cards the opponent controls and negate their effects, even if their effects only work when destroyed. When this card destroys an opponent's monster, you gain 200 life points times the level of the destroyed monster. When this monster is in battle with an opponent's monster, negate that monster's effect. If this card is not destroyed by battle, special summon the monsters used to fusion summon this card, ignoring summoning conditions, to the field with 500 extra ATK and DEF. And there's the next chapter. It took a long time to write all of this. Don't expect all of my chapters to be this long. I mean, this is the second longest chapter I've ever written. I was just in a really good mode and I had all of these good ideas that I didn't want to risk losing any of them or changing them for the worst by splitting them into 2 different chapters. My next plan for an update is between Hell Spider and by Kamen Rider Sorcerer stories. I'll most likely do Hell Spider first Bekkasu. It requires shorter chapters, and after this dozy of a chapter I'm not in the mood for another long chapter so soon. Anyway, I hope you liked this chapter. Please review.